for the big broadcast.
We're not professional podcasters.
Say what?
We barely know what we're doing.
It's funny because it's true.
But we have fun anyway.
I'm here to podcast.
Does everybody know what time it is?
We're going streaking! Yeah!
No, we're not. It's time for movies, pop culture, and more with the all-new Culture Cast, starting now.
I am the Gorehound.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Nick.
And we are the all-new Culture Cast, back for the latest edition.
Yeah, we are.
This week, we were kind of out of ideas, and so we decided to come up with a completely random movie, for the better or the worst. But, so yeah, that is what is in store today. How are you guys doing?
Doing okay.
Yeah?
Jen?
It's okay. I was telling the Gorehound before we started, I was like, as a person, I'm okay. As an American, I'm not, super into it. You know what I mean? This has not been the best day.
And disappointment and
not
anger.
The best day.
And, yeah.
Don't get pregnant, Jen, because that's a pre-existing condition.
Absolutely. I mean, just having tits in general is a pre-existing condition. So it's screwed no matter what. I mean...
For some clarity, the
Trump care got passed and was it the House?
Yeah. The House.
Right.
Just the House.
Yes.
Let's be clear, not the Senate.
Right.
It's not good.
Yeah. But this is a happy podcast.
Absolutely.
So...
And, far be it for me to, ruin that. I just, but I couldn't not say anything.
It's on all of our minds.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let us jump into our first segment of the night.
What have you been watching?
Jen, you want to start us off?
Sure. So I've been kind of keeping up with my shows. But a few weeks ago...
I'm looking forward to hearing Handmaid's Tale, right?
Absolutely. I have not started that yet, but I will soon.
Okay.
But I did watch the entire season of this NBC show called Trial and Error. It was a comedy starring John Lithgow and a bunch of people you've never heard of.
That sounds...
Right. Playing this guy who's presumed to have murdered his wife. It's kind of Parks and Rec meets the true crime genre, and
is it
as
actually funny?
It's actually pretty funny. It's definitely a little experimental. You can kind of see where they start a potential romance, and then are kind of no, actually, this is a stupid idea. Abort.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot of fun. I think it really benefited from the seriousness.
It looks better. It looks better than most court drama.
Absolutely.
shows.
I have no idea if
that.
it'll get renewed. I have no idea, but I think the first season ends in a way that's emotionally satisfying, and I'm good with it. The other thing I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention a few weeks ago was I went and saw a podcast taping of Pop Culture Happy Hour, the NPR culture podcast.
You
Absolutely.
go, girl.
It was great fun. I went with a friend of mine, and we I've been listening to that podcast on and off for years, and
it is crazy just how many podcasts out there and how many podcasts are doing well. I will just completely stumble on podcasts that are phenomenal. I'm I've been listening to podcasts for years. How have I never come across this? Dinner Party Download in particular. I never knew that existed, and it's phenomenal.
Okay, I'm putting it on my list.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, so the podcast, I learned the secret to making a good podcast. I learned why their podcast is really good and ours is not as good. So the secret is when you're recording a podcast, first of all, get a whole bunch of people to pay money to watch you record. Definitely helps. Number one. Number two, at the end of the podcast taping, a lady named Jessica has to come out and tell you which lines you have to re-record so it sounds better on the podcast.
Yeah.
She was listening the whole time. I think we need a Jessica to listen and tell us which lines to re-record and also give us better equipment. And again, that audience, I think, would really just bring out our funniness while also giving us a lot of money. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So these are my plans for the next season of our podcast.
All right, I like it.
Yeah. All right, what about you guys?
Yeah, Nick, let's hear it.
Not a whole lot has been going on with me watching things. A couple weeks back, the Kiwi and I happened to watch the Grumpy Old Men duology. I'd seen the original one way back when it first came out, but I never saw the sequel.
Quite a classic.
They're basically the exact same movie, but it was cute for what it's worth. Funny. The Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon have a good chemistry with one another. I'm not going to say anything that hasn't already been said like a million times, but
I don't think that was kind of predates me, and I don't think I've ever even seen it. The only thing I know about it is the two guys.
Yeah, they play they're frenemies essentially, and they're always making insults and ripping on one another. And in the first one, this woman moves into the town. She's a bit of a free spirit, and she gets the attention of both guys. They start trying to compete for her affections, and it's lighthearted, it's inoffensive, but it's not dumb at the same time. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just if you want a light breezy movie, that's the film.
Yeah.
But more recently, I started watching a documentary on Netflix called The 80s. And I think CNN produced it. I know Tom Hanks is also one of the producers on it. And I'm only about 2 episodes in so far. I like it. Each episode deals with a different topic. Right now I'm on an episode that talks about TV in the 80s. There's
Is it
one
just
that's
a classier version of I Love the 80s? From the VH1 series?
Yeah, much classier.
Okay.
That was just pure pop culture.
Yeah.
Each one tackles a different element of the 80s. So there's one that's going to be on about the Reagan era, about him as a presidency. Another one about, I think, the Berlin Wall falling. All the big touchstones that happened in the 80s. And then I later come to find out that there's apparently a series of these. There's one about the 60s and one about the 70s. Decades I have less interest in, yeah. But it's interesting that they put these together, similar format, 8 episodes. Excuse me, 8 episodes, and each episode dealing with a different core topic that's a reflection of that decade. So
you got a few weeks ahead of you to catch up with those.
I don't plan on watching all of them, but at very least I want to get through the 80s one. Each episode is only about 45 minutes long to an hour, so it's easy to put on and just watch. So
you mentioned documentaries. I was actually really craving a documentary the other day, a good one. And I was searching all around, and Netflix has a whole bunch that are Netflix sponsored, Netflix produced. And I wanted just a legit one, back in the day when you had Super Size Me or something like that. And I remember there was, I don't know, maybe this was just an impression that I got, but I remember there were a whole bunch of good documentaries that were released all within a few years of each other, right after Super Size Me. And I got really big into those, and I couldn't find anything to watch. So I ended up just watching Ancient Aliens more, which is
well, there you go.
Good enough for me.
Apparently, there's a lot of food documentaries that are
the Sriracha one. I remember seeing that one.
Yeah, I know the Kiwi has been a couple of months ago. She got into a sort of a kick on watching a bunch of food documentaries that talk about a wide variety of different diets, like plant-based diets and what do you call it? Paleo stuff and whole. So there was a sugar documentary that she liked that was really eye-opening about what sugar is about and what it can do and everything else. So she liked it.
I would rather not know. I would.
I was talking with a coworker. She was saying that I just asked her if she's been listening to any good podcasts, and she said all she listens to is
the All New Culture Cast.
No, I did suggest that, but she listens to workout and health podcasts, and I was thinking I have never listened to any of those, and I tried one of them, and I just couldn't get to it. So apparently, I'm pretty picky in particular about mine. But
what do they even talk about? Just argue about food you should eat, or tell you to do lunges?
Yeah, I don't know. Anything that I say is going to do injustice to this, because I know that people legitimately like this, and I don't understand the passion for it, but I know that some people do, and so anything that I say would just be insulting.
Mm-hmm.
Are you anything else on your mind?
No, that's pretty much all I got going on. So
Been a busy guy, huh?
Well, yeah, with between C2E2
Yeah.
the other week and just various other things, I haven't been big on watching a whole lot of movies. So I feel I watched something this past weekend, but I couldn't tell you what it was.
Well, you could interrupt me.
Okay.
I've been doing quite a few things. We busted out the Wii and have been playing
Nice.
Super Mario Brothers because the girl was wanting to play a video game, and I was like, you can't play Mass Effect. It's much too complicated.
Like
And-
classic Mario Brothers, like
Well, on
like
the-
1980s.
No,
or,
the Super Mario Brothers on the Wii.
Oh, we have to. You guys gotta come over sometime, and we could do 4-player.
Yeah, I mean, we... I know that we used to play it like a whole bunch when it first came out, and it still holds up. It's fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great partner game where you can play with one person, and it's like really equal playtime. So, yeah, we busted that out, so we've been playing that a little bit. And I had a little bit of free time this weekend that I decided not to put towards the video game, and I watched 2 movies, Planet of the Sharks and The Windmill. And it felt great, because Planet of the Sharks is an Asylum movie, and Asylum has given us such great classics.
We should have a theme month of Asylum movies sometime.
No, we need to keep Jen on the podcast, and I think if we do
Yeah.
that, that's just going to tip her over. And
Okay. How about this? Gorehound, you and I occasionally will record an Asylum movie podcast, and then when we have like 4 saved up, we'll just do like 1 month,
yeah,
and then that way it's not like Jen will be
I like
subjected
that.
to it. We could
Jen
just have
likes
them in
it
reserve.
too.
yeah. And Jen, you still need to pick a topic month to make up for Kevin Smith month.
Absolutely. My birthday is June. I will be making decisions very shortly. You'll be
Alright.
receiving emails.
Can we do a Shaquille O'Neal month? Because I think we need to discuss his filmography.
That can happen in July.
I can roll forward with that.
Okay, we'll stick a pin in that and come back to that topic at another time. But I'm sorry, you were saying Gorehound.
Yeah, so I watched Planet of the Sharks, which is an Asylum movie, which pretty much needs no explanation other than it's a planet of the sharks. And the other one was The Windmill, which, based on its premise alone, I was intrigued. It's some Netflix movie. There was a scarecrow thing on the front. I was like, solid. And I watched it, and it was, probably like a 2 out of 5, honestly, because it wasn't very, hokey. It was trying to be good, but if you're trying to be good and you're cheap, it's just not going to work. So, yeah, and along with that, I've finished Mass Effect Andromeda, and in a very quick review, it did not live up to its expectation. After each game getting better and better and better, this game just failed. Well, it didn't completely fail. It just it didn't live up to the hype. So I'll just say that. And I've been watching still some Shameless, and I'm still enjoying it. I think we're a little less than halfway through, and to roll on into
Man crush.
do you guys watch Shameless?
Absolutely. No.
No, the Kiwi does.
Okay. Well, if you are familiar, Man Crush of the Week is Kev from Shameless. He is, if you're not familiar, he's one of the larger, more built guys that's in the relationship with V. But I don't know why he's a man crush. I just know that I love his character, and I'm like, what a solid guy. I like what he did. He's doing a good
Tell
thing.
Tell us what his real name is, so I can look him up and decide if he's good looking.
Steve Howie. You will probably recognize him because he was on The New Girl. He was one of
He was
right, the football
Yes.
player that fell in love with Zoe in 5 minutes.
Oh my god, yes.
So, he's not very good looking, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like I have a connection to him.
Oh, he looks really bad in this picture with a mustache.
Nobody looks bad with a mustache. Everybody should have a mustache, in my opinion.
Okay. Absolutely not.
But
That
my
is
opinion means
factually an
nothing,
error.
so.
Just because you have Man Crush of the Week does not mean you have good taste in mustaches.
All right. Closing out Man Crush. Are we ready to jump on into this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we are.
All right.
All
right. I am going to tell the audience why and how we picked this movie, and then Nick, you want to give us a brief synopsis?
Oh yeah, I have so much I could talk about this movie.
Okay. So we, like I said, we were running out of ideas, and so we're like, let's pick a random movie. We're like, how are we going to pick a random movie? So I asked Nick and Jen, give me one letter. So Jen gave me one letter. I picked the middle letter, and Nick gave me the last. And I went onto Netflix, and I typed those in. And I picked the first movie that was at least an hour and 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. One that was not a TV series, and one that was not a Netflix-produced one. Because I just don't feel like... I don't know. Those are the rules, and that's what I applied. And it was LEG. And so I had to go through like 15 Netflix Lego TV shows for like kids.
Why? I love Legos, and I like the Lego movie, but why do they have so many Lego TV shows?
There was like every single type of Lego TV show, which apparently must be doing great. And yeah,
I guess that's the career to get into.
Legends of Oz: Dorothy's Return was the pick. So I really wanted to lie on this one, but I was like,
you got to be real. You got to keep it real.
Yeah, I'm an honest guy.
You have no idea, because I don't remember when you mentioned first the Dorothy's Return movie, but I completely forgot about it until I asked you what movie were we watching earlier this week, and then when you said it was this one, I'm like, this is fantastic. And here's why this is fantastic. I hadn't seen the movie before, so just to get that in perspective.
None of us have seen it before.
But what's interesting is, for the blog, I wrote an article on this movie almost 3 years ago to the week that this podcast is going up. Dead serious. Don't look it up because I'm gonna reference it, so I don't want you to be spoiled.
Well, I just want to see that it was published. I'm not going to look at it, but
May 12th, 2014.
For the people in the audience and also me, what is the name of our blog?
Oh my gosh, What Went Wrong, Volume 46, Oz Edition, May 12th.
The name of our blog is The Culture Cast with Zach and Nick. Which, okay, story time. So when this podcast had gotten started, it was actually started with my buddy Zach and myself doing the show called The Culture Cast. Well, we went for about 70 some odd episodes, and a variety of things happened. Like, life was getting more and more hectic. Our technology that and the programs we were using at the time weren't working well together the way they used to.
Yeah, I was on like a few, and I cannot for the life of me remember how I recorded it. Like, I was in my undergrad, I was like, I have no idea how I did it, though I know I recorded like a few eps. You did.
We did Prometheus and The Evil Dead, and maybe another one somewhere in there as well. But yeah, and then like I think that was early 2014 when we just kind of put a pause on it. Zach had since kind of gotten burnt out on podcasting and retired completely from it. He'd been doing it for a long, long time, and
yeah, then we were doing just like primarily blog posts.
To keep the website going. Honestly, the website serves very little purpose now because it just posts our podcast. No one writes a blog post anymore, which is a shame. But
well, no, I think it allows the opportunity to do so, because I've been wanting to do one like the Gorehound's Guide to Podcasting, which isn't even in draft form yet, and that's like the easiest thing. But
okay, so this movie, I'm a big Wizard of Oz fan. Like the original book, which was then turned into the classic Judy Garland movie, and the books beyond that and the different sequels I never got into, but I always loved the original one. So because I'm such a big Oz, like to the point was when we became when I started my teaching job, I was the head of our theater department as well, and the first play I did was Wizard of Oz. That's how much I enjoyed the story. So so anytime there's some news about Oz, it usually makes a blip on my radar, so I'm kind of aware that it's coming up. And way back in like 2010, I remember hearing about this movie, which at the time was called Dorothy of Oz, and it had the weird plot, like some jester tries to take over Oz, and it sounded weird. Then like I would hear about it once every couple months. I wouldn't, just a little update here and there. And then I finally, back in 2014 when it was released, I had heard that it was finally released. I'm like, wasn't this movie released like years ago? And I don't know what had happened, but the film was actually completed back in 2012. And for whatever reason was not released for a good 2 years afterwards. I don't know if it didn't get distribution, or if they were trying to change things in the script, or their production issues. It may not have been production issues because all of the credits on the film have a copyright of 2012. So much that they were going to do so much that they were convinced that they was going to have a 2012 release date is that there was tie-in merchandising that was released around that time to tie into the movie with its original title. Most notably, there was a calendar, 2012 calendar for this movie. I don't know what happened, why it was delayed so much. I mean, clearly this movie is absolutely garbage, but
sure,
it's just so weird that I don't know what happened. I can't find any information about what the holdup was. Like, even if it was a bad movie, the studio thought, oh, this movie's terrible, like, it has a great cast. I mean, they could sell the movie on that cast alone. It's just so weird. Of course, the movie came out and it bombed in the theaters. It made, let me look that up. It made $3.8 million, which sounds like a lot, but compared to a $70 million budget, this movie tanked super, super hard.
And you know what? Good for the American public looking at this and being like, no, thank you.
Well, to be fair, it opened up against The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which itself was a pretty garbage movie, but this movie did not have a stone's throw. How'd that go? I don't know. Did not have a chance to do well. This was strategically placed to bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're contractually obliged to give it a theatrical release, so they'll just quietly release it.
I don't know. I think just the CGI alone was enough to warrant a failure.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Do you want me to give the details of the plot of this movie? The
Yes.
quote unquote plot?
I'm not sure if I could get through it.
All right. So very quickly, it turns out after Dorothy left Oz, the Wicked Witch's brother, who happens to be a jester, played by Martin Short, takes over and starts doing evil things because he's evil or something. I don't know. I have no idea I don't know what his goal is.
You don't need a reason.
Yeah, I guess not. He's evil for the sake of being evil.
Some people want to watch the whole world burn.
Just like Trump.
Okay, Alfred. So the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion, and the Scarecrow decide, oh man, we need Dorothy to clean up our mess because Lord knows we can't do it. So let's go get a 16-year-old girl. At least I'm assuming she's 16. Let's go get a teenager. That'll solve our problems. And so Dorothy's transported back to Oz. She makes 3 new friends, and she goes to stop the jester. That's the story.
Yeah. But yeah, apparently it is based off of a Dorothy of Oz book. Is that correct?
Yeah, there were like so many spin-offs and sequel books and like future writers that made stories and sequels to it. So
right.
it does have a source material. I have no idea how close it is to said source material, but
right. Yeah, I went through a big original books phase where I would like read like Alice in Wonderland, and I read The Wizard of Oz and the sequel to it, and a few others back a few years ago. And I remember reading like the source material for this. I didn't read this one in particular, but yeah. And
there's like 40 Oz books. There's so many out there.
Right, because it became like a series, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool that it had like its own universe. Kind of like Lord of the Rings, where you can really take it in many different directions, but we all just see the same, pretty much same story over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, before we get into this, I wanted to mention the Return to Oz movie. Have you guys ever seen this?
Isn't that the movie we just watched?
Return to Oz.
No.
Nick, you have,
I know
right?
I've not seen it, but I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a Disney film made in the 80s.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is 1985.
I've been told it's pretty horrifying.
Oh my gosh, this is the scariest movie that a kid can watch. but it is, I don't know, just so classic, and it doesn't make it warrants its own episode. I'll just say that.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
But so
right.
okay, so what are our initial thoughts on Legends of Oz: Dorothy's Return, Jen?
Yeah, Jen, let's hear it.
Okay, so there's a lot to say. I mean, there isn't a lot to say. It wasn't good. The animation was like weird to look at. Like it was not quite in that uncanny valley.
I felt it was like PBS animation.
It was like a little hard to watch.
It's interesting you bring up the uncanny valley, because like there are shots in this film where the humans slowly venture into that, but all the other characters are very cartoony, and it's kind of like, what is happening? It's so distracting.
Right. There's this one scene where Dorothy gets hit in the face with like a snowball, and then like this perfectly round snow is over her face, and then they throw like 2 candy pieces where her eyes would be, and I'm just watching, and I'm like, this seems like computer animation 101 is to not do this. None of this looks good.
It felt like PlayStation 2 graphics, honestly, and so at some points. And it's so rudimentary compared to when this movie actually came out.
Right.
Yeah. When you have that bit
bizarre.
Yeah. The really great cast, I just feel like if you're going to have great cast, you might as well have like really great animation. And it's just drop the ball.
I mean, in the world that we live in with Pixar and DreamWorks, if you're going to be like an outsider in that, you got to bring your A game if you want to get any sort of interest in your movie.
Mm-hmm. I should say that it's better than Sharknado. They did try.
Did they though?
Yeah, it's not Sharknado. I'm saying that.
Like, who do you think? So, like, specifically, who tried? Because I would argue that, like, you have all these famous voices, but also no one's really doing anything. Like, I don't feel like a lot of them are, like, even changing the register of their voice. It feels very much like people just sort of showed up in their pajamas, and they were like, okay, I'm going to read this, but I'm not going to stop eating this donut that I currently have, right? Like, I have this donut. I'm going to eat this donut. We have to get this done before I finish this donut. No time for second takes. No time for emotions. Let's just do this, right? So, not the people, not the actors. They're not trying.
I'll give some credit where credit is due. I feel like Martin Short was probably having a blast doing his over-the-top jester. And I thought he did have a couple of lines that were generally kind of funny. It seemed like Dan Aykroyd was actually trying as the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
But by and large, like Patrick Stewart shows up in this movie, and it's like, okay, you're here for a paycheck. You are a tree.
Who is he?
He was the tree who became like the boat, who became the tank.
Yeah, how do you make I thought they were going to kill him, but then I was like, oh, right. They can't do anything violent or realistic in this movie.
Like, would you let your friends turn you into a boat? Like, that's weird, right?
Right, I thought they were getting out like he is the sacrifice that is going to help her cross, but no, it's just we can't show anything sad on here.
And here's my question is, like, how deep is that water? Couldn't they, because the trees could clearly walk.
Yeah, I was like,
lift them up and, like, go, like, I don't know. Plot hole. Okay, so the animation is lousy.
Yes.
People, maybe the writers were trying, maybe the director was trying. I'm not saying he did a good job, but what's weird is that this director comes from good pedigree. I looked him up. He worked on numerous Disney films. He directed one of the Disney canon films, not one of their better ones or known ones, the Home on the Range. But Disney just doesn't hire, slack-jawed yokels to direct their films. But it's like, what went wrong with this movie?
You're referring to Daniel St. Pierre, the director?
Can't remember what his name is.
There are 2 credited.
The one that's the top one on. Well, I think both of them worked in Disney, where they got their start. But
Will Finn and Dan St. Pierre.
Yeah, they have credentials. They should know better, I would imagine, but I don't know. Oh God, this movie.
So yeah, my problem with it was the singing. I could not get through those musical portions. I don't know.
What's crazy to me is the one who's playing Glenda is like this really good Broadway singer. It was Bernadette Peters, and it's like, I don't think she had a song. Or if she had a song, I wasn't listening very hard. Or you've got Leah Michele was the voice, and she just, like, didn't get to, like, hit any notes. It was very strange to me. Like, they kept going back to Martin Short, who I think is a fine singer, but, like, isn't someone I would necessarily be like, you know who needs 3 solos? It was baffling. It was like, somebody was like, okay, we gotta write some songs. We don't have a lot of time. This draft is due in an hour. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. Just have the Jester sing a song about, like, why you shouldn't eat candy. Like, what?
So during at least the first few songs, I had to mute them or just turn the volume really low. It's just, I couldn't handle it. These are kids' movies. This is a kids' movie, and I don't know if it's patience or just general apathy. I couldn't get through these musical portions, and that was my biggest problem with this, other than, it being a kids' movie and myself not being a kid.
I mean, but, like, The Little Mermaid is a kids' movie, and they've got good songs.
Yeah,
they're catchy.
And I'm not sure I could sit through that today.
I mean, Under the Sea. I don't know how aggressive it goes, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
I'd watch it if Chloe Grace Moretz was in it. I'll tell you that.
That's weird. That's a weird thing to put as a requirement.
No, she was going to be, we've mentioned this before. I think she's going to be in, like, She was attached to a Little Mermaid project. I don't know if she still is. Not Disney. Let's recap your blog article. Tell us.
I kind of went over all that already.
Oh, you already went.
I think the biggest problem this movie has is that it's an hour and a little under an hour and a half long. They have, like, 2 incredibly long credit sequences at the beginning and at the end. And I don't know if you guys bothered watching through the credits.
I got to the credits and I turned it off. I was like, I got through this shit. I'm a beast.
I watched the credits at the end, and there's a problem when they have, like, 700 co-producer credits on this film, and they're credited as, like, the so-and-so family, and John and Betty Ross and family.
Oh,
so clearly they took money from every person they knew.
They just went to their church and was just like, would anybody like to donate?
Were these, like, 8-year-olds donating their lunch money? Like, what does that mean? And family?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm guessing, like, when you buy, like, a dedication plaque or you buy a brick to a building, they'll, like, inscribe, like, your name on it, and like the Johnson family or something like that. I don't know. And, like, each, like, co-producer, as they put them on there, had, like, their own, like, credit at the end, and it's kind of like, okay, 1, you're clearly stretching the length of this movie out for no good reason, and 2, what movie requires all this? And then later on, they had, like, I don't have it in front of me, but it seemed like they had a ton of writing credits. Like, a lot of people worked on this film at one way or another, like, additional writing by this person. And it's like, oh, that's never a good sign for a movie.
Every writer just contributed 1 line to the movie.
Yeah, it's like they had to credit everyone, which you should, but at the same time, now you're just getting excessive. The biggest problem, the biggest sin this movie had is that it was under an hour and a half long, and it was boring. It felt like it had so many pacing problems. It felt like this movie was like 3 hours long. It's like, oh my god.
You know what it sort of reminded me of? Do you guys remember, like, 1970s Disney back when it was, like, terrible, and they had, like, The Sword and the Stone? And I remember in, like, 10th grade, we were all watching King Arthur themed movies for, like, a project on King Arthur. So, we broke up into groups, and so we watched The Sword and the Stone, which, like, I hadn't seen since I was, like, 4 or something. And all I remember about this movie is that it's about 5 minutes of plot, and then it's just a bunch of, like, dumb songs and dances, and, like, nothing's really happening. It's just, like, and that's sort of what it reminded me of, where there was, like, a little bit of plot, but mostly there was just, like, okay, we need to give Dorothy all new friends, right? Like, it's not enough. We got to get rid of the lion. We got to get rid of the tin cup. We got to get rid of the other one. We got to give her some new friends. Who are we going to give her? I don't know. Some marshmallow guy, this fat owl.
I did like that marshmallow guy. I felt like it was a good play on like a character with a vulnerability, and it was just like he was made out of marshmallow, and that's great.
Yeah, but like they didn't put him near any fires. You know what I mean? Like I think there's a lot of ways you could play with that, and they just didn't.
Right.
It was listen.
Yeah,
Could I?
there was wasted opportunity for sure in this movie.
Absolutely. I'm going to nitpick something, and this is dumb, but it bothered me so much. Right? This is supposed to be like the day after, in human years or whatever. The day after the original Wizard of Oz movie, right? Because it's been like a day on Earth since the first movie.
Has it?
Yeah. Well, that's what they imply.
That's what they say. Yeah.
Okay.
They say, time goes different on Earth. It's only been a day. It has been a day. So I'm watching this, and they have this first song with Leah Michele singing about, like, I don't know, rebuilding the town or whatever bullshit. And
You know what I honestly thought? I was like, that is a shit town.
Well, the tornado just went through it.
Yeah.
It's S-Town. Bring it all together.
Right.
No, and that's good. I like that. But so anyway, so they have this banner stretched across a random street that says, like, call this number for help with, this tornado problem or whatever. And the phone number has 10 digits, which, like, if this is a movie taking place in the 1930s, there is no such thing as a 10-digit phone number back then. There just isn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, this would have taken you 14 seconds to look up movie.
Let me. You raise an excellent point. I don't think this movie was meant to take place in the 1930s because the way Auntie Em and Uncle Henry and Dorothy are kind of dressed, it's a little bit more modernized. The car that what's his face drives, like the real world version of Martin Short, like the fraud who's trying to.
Yeah.
And let me talk about that for a second. Put a pin in that. But I think it's meant to be that they just time shifted everything up to present day.
But why?
Right.
But like, why did you do that? No one asked you to do that.
No one asked to make this movie either, but yet it's happened.
It's so many like weird decisions. Like someone made that decision, but like for what reason? Because it's not like they then incorporate new technology or anything, like she's not like Googling how to make sure you don't get grifted by some rando.
And let's talk about that. Is Dorothy the only intelligent person in Kansas? Because all the adults are like, well, this guy that we don't know is just saying we have to sign over our land.
Yeah.
Okay. And Dorothy's like, hey, look, you guys aren't reading the contracts. Look, it's totally a fraud.
Right.
And
And that's where it goes back to, this is just a kid's movie. As much as they're putting in all of these famous people in, it's just a kid's movie. It's not logical.
No. It may be just a kid's movie. That's not an excuse. Plenty of kids' movies are able to have things that make sense. You want Dorothy to be a hero and take down this guy? Fine. But don't do it at the expense of making everyone else a flippin' idiot.
They were.
No, agreed. And like, okay, again, like they could call their lawyer. Like, it's so weird because if it's in the modern day, like pull out your cell phone, call a lawyer. Like, why is there's so many cars that have mattresses tied to the top of them. Like nobody can wait and call like a U-Haul or something and move all of their stuff. They're just like, all right,
Yeah.
guess it's time to go.
Or contact the town government, like, hey, what's the story here, Mr. Mayor?
Don't even wait for it to stop raining. Like, it's time to just pull everything out of your house and throw your children in there. It's fine. It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's just lazy is the problem. And it's, like, infuriating how lazy it all is.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking who would watch this? And I was thinking, would I watch this with my 2-year-old niece? And I don't think I would, because if you're gonna watch an Oz movie, you're gonna watch the original one.
Yeah.
Because this is
Watch the good one.
This is not really offering any value. If you're gonna watch this, you might as well just watch, some other cheap, like the Dora the Explorer, because I think it's got this. You're certainly not going to be wasting as much time watching that over this, and you might actually get like a little bit more relevancy because that's, you know, trying to keep your audience captivated. But this is just a waste of time. I feel like if we're on our, yes, we did this for the purpose of the podcast, but I'm pretty sure that this was a waste of time for most people who watched it.
Well, I mean, luckily no one watched it. It lost a ton of money.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this movie is so dumb. It's so bad.
So, did you like anything about it? Let's ask that.
You know, I think the central idea was solid. I think some of the characters were interesting enough. Like, I like the idea of a marshmallow guard.
Can I just mention his name? It was Marshall Mallow.
I appreciate all the candy puns that were in that movie. Like General Candy Apple or something like that, or how
Judge Jawbreaker.
Yeah, or a trial by how they go, something of your peeps, and had all the peeps. Like, okay, like I appreciate a good pun, and they played those well, but it's like overshadowed by everything else that's bad in this movie.
Nick, I've got to ask you. So I'm not super up on my Oz stuff. Like, I saw the movie as a kid and remember basically nothing, right? So I have to ask, is this something where you feel like it fit into the mythology of the books, and does it fit, or is it just...
Yeah, is it canon?
Yeah, is it nonsense?
Oh, well, you know, I haven't read really any of the Oz books past the original one. I know of them, and I appreciate they exist, but I never really got into them. So I can't really say... I don't think they really link together in one coherent narrative. I just think, like, here's another tale that's happening in Oz. And if I'm wrong for anyone who's listening, please feel free to send us an email. We'll be happy to correct it on a future episode. But I think with this movie, it's close enough to giving the Oz feel. So it's like, all right, at least, you know, they're trying to pull what people think of Oz. I don't think it goes too off the rails in that respect. But it's like they have all these interesting ideas and they do nothing with it. Nothing. It's just sort of like a huge disappointment in that regard. It's like, okay, what's the purpose of all this if you're just going to waste your potential?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Gorehound, did you find anything that you liked about this movie?
I was trying to pick out the voices in the movie because I saw there were a whole bunch of good actors, and I was trying to pick them out, and I noticed a few of them, but I was like, okay, I know who that is. Great. That's about it. I thought that the trees were cool because I noticed that one of the trees, the old lady trees, had pine cones as earrings. I was like, oh, that's cute. I like that. And one of the trees was supposed to look like Rastafarian and with like dreadlocks. I think it was like a willow where like all the leaves were hanging down and locks, kind of like Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons. Yeah. I'm glad I got through it. I think I need to watch more kids' movies to broaden my horizon, but this did not broaden it.
Jen, was there anything that you liked about the movie?
No. No.
End of thoughts.
It was very bad. I don't super care about the Wizard of Oz at all, so you know, I mean, I guess it's cool she got like a girl sidekick, but also it was dumb that like in the movie there's like the scene where she's picking out her boyfriend or whatever, and she like sings very high to break all of these ceramic men, and then you see them in the thing being told they can all get glued back together, and then when she falls and breaks, everybody's like, well, I guess she's dead or something, and it's like, did I miss something? Like, this literally just happened 45 minutes ago.
Maybe they didn't have glue with them, and it's kind of like...
Yeah, I guess, but it just felt like weirdly lazy, you know? It was like, and I know that generally in like a narrative, right, you've got your main person who's got to like lose, you know, there's a reason that Dumbledore and that little green guy from Star Wars and like your mentor always dies, right? So I understand the idea that like she loses all her friends along the way and then she has to be the one to stand up to the evil jester. So like, okay, I sort of get that. That's why all your friends have to disappear. But it was just like weirdly done. Like it was just very strange. Because then they all show up anyway. So I'm like, you know, okay, you're like, you sort of understand, like somebody involved in this, like understood how plots work, but like didn't quite know how to like finish it. It's very strange. Like it's absurd to watch this movie and just be like with this amount of money, like you could have made several good movies.
Like Yoga Hosers Part 2.
Oh my god, with the money they spent on this, you could have made thousands of Yoga Hosers.
Oh my gosh, I would be set for life.
Did you guys ever see that Mila Kunis, James Franco, Oz movie that came out like 4 years ago?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I did.
I remember seeing it and
I liked it.
Didn't care.
No, I hated it. That was also terrible.
Oh, okay, sorry. I enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
It wasn't like the greatest movie ever, but
I think I just want to hit James Franco in the face like every moment.
well, if you're not a Franco fan, yeah, it could have been worse. That was almost. Oh wait, no. I was thinking it was Johnny Depp. No, it was almost Robert Downey Jr., which probably could have been better.
Yeah.
I'm spent on this topic.
Yeah. So, would you guys recommend this movie?
No.
Not to my worst enemy, who's also a child.
All right, I wouldn't either. It's interesting given the mystery surrounding its creation and how, given the cast, how poorly everything is. But in terms of, I want some entertainment. No.
Mm-mm.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
Would you recommend it to somebody who's a Oz completist?
Only if this is the last thing that they've never seen.
Sure.
Yeah, I would be interested to see the comparison between the source material and this. Because maybe it adds a little bit of value, but I doubt very little.
Yeah,
I will say, I was sort of entertained by the fact that this was like the great-grandson of the original novelist had written this. Like, I don't know if they wrote the script or wrote the book that the script was based off of, but like, I kind of enjoy the idea that, like, it's not enough you're living off, like, the royalties of your great-grandfather. Now you also want additional royalties for yourself. Like, you know, you gotta respect the hustle.
Hey, someone's got to pay the bills.
Absolutely.
All right. Nick, you got trivia? Or are you dropping the ball
I
again?
do have trivia, but
No.
I didn't know how to form this.
It doesn't have to be a question.
Okay, I didn't know how to form this in the question, so
Intrigue us.
It's trivia time!
I dug up some interesting facts about the original Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So these are 5 facts about the original The Wizard of Oz. So originally, there's the Cowardly Lion, right?
Yeah.
Originally,
Such
MGM.
a coward.
If I was king of the forest. They were originally considering using a real lion at one point in time.
No way.
That'd be sick.
That'd
They,
be dangerous.
Which is probably why they decided not to do it.
Judy Garland was like, no, I'm not doing that.
They got the idea, I guess, because at the MGM, their logo has like the lion roaring at the beginning, and that's a real lion. I think that's where they got the initial idea from.
Oh, just use that lion.
Yeah, he's on contract. We can just use him. But this leads to my second fact, and this is a little creepy. I thought the lion costume was made from real lion hair.
Ooh.
That's the way you do it.
Yeah.
It was a different time, people. It was a different time. Animal cruelty.
Back when we had
there.
surplus lions? Like, what the fuck?
All right, so we're going to go into some less weirder stuff. Shirley Temple was almost cast as Dorothy.
Okay.
Ooh.
Which makes sense because at the time, Shirley Temple was the thing. There's some mystery on why she wasn't cast. I was trying to look this up to give more information on the trivia fact, but the leading thing right now says that she was under contract at a different studio, and the studio wasn't willing to let her out of her contract to do this other film. At least that's the running theory. No one quite knows for sure why it broke down.
Sure.
My fourth fact, Judy Garland wanted to take Toto home with her at the end of production, but Toto's actual owner said no. So the dog that they had as Toto, Judy Garland got so attached to it that she wanted to take him home, but the owner was like, no, Judy Garland, he's my dog. Yeah. You do not get to have him. And then
That's fantastic.
It would have been great if she just, stole him.
Yeah, fuck you, I'm taking it anyway. No place like home, motherfucker. And then my final fact is something that may surprise you if you're not already aware of it, is that The Wizard of Oz was not really all that successful a movie when it first came out. It had a $2.7 million budget, and it only earned $3 million in profit in its original theatrical run, which is, it did okay, but, you know, not gangbusters. It didn't become popular until the early to mid 1950s, in which the movie started getting regular play on television. And that's when it brought in a whole host of fans.
So could the same thing happen to our movie from tonight?
Well, it's possible. It is on Netflix, so anyone can watch it at any given time. And I think it has like 1.5 stars on Netflix. So, you know, I don't see why I couldn't. So that's my trivia.
This has been the latest edition of the All New Culturecast, and I am the Gorehound.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Nick.
And we are the All New Culturecast.
Yes.
Catch you next week.
Woo!
You've been listening to the All New Culturecast, one of Chicagoland's finest podcasts.
Fall asleep to death.
Blog at znculturecast.wordpress.culturecast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your feedback, comments, and requests. Follow us on social media. Theme music by Ben Saltwater Production. Copyright 2017. Thanks for listening.